All right, I don't think that really... I need one more light. My lighting is a little off compared to what I'd like it to be, but that's okay. All right, so I hope you enjoyed my... I got hair in my mouth. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my October full moon in Aries Humanity's Fire of Balance video. I went through many different traditions, honoring the full moon cycle, after the fall equinox. So they called it many different things: the hunter's moon, mid-autumn moon. So I did a video about the full moon in Aries, and so yeah, check that out if you haven't seen it. I end the video with how to ritualize, do your own ceremony, honoring yourself, your ancestors, and your current life journey. So now I wanted to go into the moon cycles, a sacred calendar of life, and then the moon and the feminine, returning to Mother Earth's rhythm, and then fire, sky, and the return of the masculine, the sacred masculine, and the ceremony of union, integrating the feminine and masculine. So I am going to start with the moon cycles, a sacred calendar of life. And I'm going to go grab my pillow real quick. To get a little bit more comfy. Okay, so the moon cycles is sacred calendar of life, the lunar rhythm. For nearly all indigenous peoples of North America, the moon was the first clock, not mechanical, but alive. So hopefully you are appreciating my own journey into connecting myself back to my native roots. I have always felt this way. I was raised strictly Catholic private schooling all of my young life, and I have always had this. I was raised on a farm, so of course I was very connected to Earth and the seasons and cycles, but I have a very deeper level to myself, and this feels so right. So I'm going to incorporate all of my native understandings into my teachings now. All right, so for nearly all indigenous peoples of North America, the moon was the first clock, not mechanical, but alive. Each tribe tracked time by 13 moon cycles, not 12 months. Each lasting about 28 days, the same rhythm as the menstrual cycle, the tides, the planting and harvesting cycles, the migration of animals, and the human emotional cycle. Thus, time was not linear, but circular and alive. Each full moon was a ceremony, not just a date. I'm going to adjust my display because I feel like it's insanely dark in here. Probably won't help much. Maybe it's just my screen. All right, so Cherokee example. The Cherokee calendar recognized 13 sacred moons, each with its own ceremony. The first new moon of spring marked renewal, purification, and planting. The green corn moon celebrated ripening and gratitude. The harvest moon, the October moon, honored the completion of the cycle, giving thanks for what the earth gave. And the snow moon signified rest, storytelling, and wisdom keeping. Each moon was not a month, but a spiritual teacher, each reminding people to align their lives with the earth cycle and cycles and seasons. All right, so Mother Earth, the living feminine archetype. The earth as a conscious being. To the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek, Earth was not nature, she was mother, as well as Navajo and most of the native, if not all, native tribes. They all looked deeply, deeply, deeply into everything this way. She was called by names that meant the one who feeds all, or Grandmother Earth. She was not worshipped as a goddess, but honored as kin, a living ancestor, breathing and feeling. People walked softly because the earth was alive. Her skin was the soil, her blood the rivers, her breath the wind. When you harmed the earth, you wounded your own grandmother. So it's really interesting. I'm going to get into this with the masculine side, but they looked at, there was the sky, like above, was masculine, the earth and everything in it was feminine. It's very interesting. So the feminine in indigenous cosmology was cyclical, generative, nurturing, but also fierce. It shows up everywhere. In the moon, guiding time in the cycles of fertility, in water, which holds memory, emotion, and life, in the soil, which receives the seed and transforms it into food, in the seasons, which rise, bloom, wither, and rest, the rhythm of the womb. Women's bodies were seen as mirrors of the earth's power. Menstruation was not taboo, but sacred. Many tribes taught that when women bled, they were at the height of their spiritual power, a time for vision, prayer, and purification. The balance of the masculine and feminine forces. Indigenous traditions rarely saw gender as better or worse. Instead, everything had both sun and moon, fire and water, earth and sky, hunt and harvest, word and silence. So the feminine moon, earth, and water. The feminine receives, nurtures, and grows. The masculine protects, directs, and transforms. The feminine is cyclical, inward, and intuitive. The masculine, linear, outward, and active. Feminine, emotional, relational. Masculine, logical, and structural. Feminine, Mother Earth, and fertility. Masculine, Father Sky, thunder, and sunlight. Together, these made harmony. The Earth Mother received the Sun Father's light and heat. Together, they produced life. The moon reflected the sun's light, symbolizing reflection, intuition, and guidance through darkness. When either force becomes imbalanced, too much dominance, greed, or control, the world fell into disharmony. This principle governed community life, relationships, governance, and spirituality. Women as spiritual anchors. Social and ceremonial roles. Women were keepers of balance. In Cherokee matrilineal clans, lineage and inheritance passed through the mother. Women owned the homes and crops, and clans were identified by the mother's line. Wolf clan, bird clan, etc. Ceremonially, women tended sacred fires, led purification rituals, and blessed new life, birth, planting, and harvest. The beloved women in Cherokee culture held both spiritual and political power. She could speak in councils and decide matters of war and peace. I have such goosebumps. It's crazy. I am such a leader in my I'm just such a masculine. I've got an Aries rising, I have an Aquarian mind, 11th house, I have Capricorn moon, stellium in Capricorn, the goat, the feminine goat. I feel this so deeply, and it's so sad. It's just so sad where the world is currently. It just makes me want to apologize to all of the feminine out there. The feminine as guide. Women were believed to carry embodied wisdom, intuition, emotional intelligence, and a deep link to the unseen. They were the bridges between spirit and matter, much like the moon reflects invisible sunlight into visible form. The community watched the moon phases not only for agriculture, but for emotional and spiritual timing: when to cleanse, when to plant, when to forgive, and when to gather. Women often led or guided these rhythms since their cycles were synchronized with the moon. The moon as a feminine teacher. The moon teaches waxing, growth, creation, new beginnings; full, abundance, celebration, and fertility; waning, release, reflection, letting go; and dark, new moon, death, rest, and rebirth. Indigenous peoples mirrored this in life: plant during waxing moon, harvest during full moon, reflect and rest during waning, dream and renew at new moon. In this way, living in rhythm with the moon was also living in rhythm with the feminine within, the capacity to ebb, flow, feel, and renew. So in summary, the moon was more than a celestial body. It was a spiritual compass. The earth was more than ground. She was a breathing mother. And women were more than social members. They were the walking embodiment of earth cycles, carrying the power to create, heal, and harmonize. In these traditions, to honor the moon was to honor the feminine. To live by her light was to live in balance with nature, the highest spiritual goal. Okay, so now I'm going to get into the masculine. All right, so this is part 2, fire, sky, and the return of sacred union. All right, so the forgotten half, the masculine in nature. Not necessarily, but I think that is what has been the most projected. Where the moon teaches reflection, the sun teaches direction. But I think it's important to tie the masculine into understanding how many different cultures looked at it. It's just like, we're not taught our own personalities. We're not taught how to like understand ourselves. We're not taught anything about masculine and feminine principles, like everything that's actually like foundational and the most important in my opinion. Like this is just not taught anywhere. So I am here trying to bridge what I think needs to be bridged in this lifetime and forever, honestly. So where the moon teaches reflection, the sun teaches direction. Where the earth nurtures, the sky protects. Where water receives, fire transforms. For the Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek, the cosmos was not divided between male and feminine in opposition, but in partnership. The masculine was never meant to rule the feminine. It was meant to ignite her, to guard her, and to join her in creation. The sun represented energy, clarity, and order, the masculine force of illumination. The thunder beings were the voices of Sky Father, spirits who brought rain, renewal, and discipline when the world grew chaotic. In fire, the living flame was his presence made visible on earth, the link between human ceremony and divine light. In every Cherokee or Creek square ground, the central fire represented the sun's eternal heart. It was tended by firekeepers, often men, but treated as a being rather than a tool. Fire connected the people to the sky just as water connected them to earth. The sacred partnership, Sky Father and Earth Mother. In the cosmologies of the southeastern tribes, creation was relational. The upper world, masculine. So the upper world's the sky, the rain, the wind, was masculine. And the lower world, considered the earthly plane that we're on here, feminine, where they were complementary realms. The first, bright and ordered. The second, dark and fertile. Life in the middle world, our human realm, depended on balance between the two. This idea wasn't unique to one tribe. Across Turtle Island creation stories begin with Sky Father descending to Earth Mother, their union giving birth to rivers, trees, animals, and humankind. The Choctaw creation stories tell that people emerged from Nanhawaya, the mountain of creation, the Mother Earth's womb. Yet above her stood Hashi, the sun, source of energy and order. Their union formed the rhythm of life. Earth gives form, sun gives vitality. To Cherokee, the sun was a feminine spirit, and the moon her brother. A balance of siblings rather than spouses, yet the principle remained. Day and night, heat and coolness, effort and rest, masculine and feminine, all were meant to move in sacred reciprocity, not control. So I do think it's interesting, and I'm definitely going to take a huge deep dive into this, why the Cherokee thought the sun was feminine. I'm not sure. I have not been fully initiated into that yet. I have sent my paperwork off, and I am 96% sure that I will be accepted due to my paperwork and lineage. So that is a major question. That is a major question that I have, but that is what I know now. Perhaps that information that I have, dug up online is not correct. There's always a possibility of that. But most of them certainly align with absolutely loving the feminine, not suppressing it. So, God. All right, so masculine as protector, not dominator. In these traditions, the masculine principle wasn't about hierarchy or conquest. It was about guardianship. A man's role was to protect the cycles of life, not override them. A man's role was to protect the cycles of life, not override them. Let me repeat that. To hunt was sacred, to waste was dishonor. To lead was service, not privilege or entitlement. The Thunderers, those sky spirits who governed rain and storm, embodied those. They were feared but also prayed to because lightning, though fierce, fertilizes the soil. And its masculine energy at its best, penetrating but life-giving. When the masculine was healthy, it worked with the feminine. Fire warned but didn't burn. Sunlight nurtured but didn't scorch. Thunder disciplined but didn't destroy. The ceremony of fire renewal each year, like in the Green Corn Festival during this very time, October full moon, symbolized the cleansing of masculine force. And it's so wild we have a full moon in Aries this year. All hearth fires were extinguished, then relit from one sacred flame, representing rebirth through discipline and balance, masculine power purified through humility. The fall from balance when the sun forgot the moon. The old world turned when humans began to mistake strength for superiority. Colonization, industrialization, and rigid religion exalted a distorted masculine, a force of domination rather than cooperation. Colonial Christianity and the broken sky. European theology replaced Skyfather with a distant, singular male god and served him from Earth Mother. The divine feminine was erased or confined. Mary exalted for purity, not creation. Women stripped of priesthoods. The earth reduced to property, not personhood. The masculine detached from its counterpart and became unanchored, disconnected from compassion, intuition, and reciprocity. It sought to conquer what it once vowed to protect. Mountains were mined, rivers dammed, women silenced, tribes displaced. This was not true masculinity. It was masculinity in exile, cut off from its heart. The spiritual versus the religious masculine. Spiritual masculine serves and protects life. Religious masculine, in distortion, seeks to dominate life. Spiritual masculine honors the feminine. Religious distortion fears or suppresses the feminine. Spiritual masculine works in rhythm with nature. Religious distortion subjugates nature as a resource. Spiritual masculine guides through wisdom. Religious distortion controls through dogma. Spiritual masculine acts from clarity and compassion, and religious distortion acts from power and pride. The spiritual masculine is the guardian of the sacred, and it is the energy of sunlight. It reveals, it clarifies, it warms. But when it is torn from the feminine, that same light blinds and burns. Indigenous wisdom kept the sun and moon together in ceremony. A ritual for one was always balanced by a ritual for the other. Fire was always blessed by water, drumming always accompanied by dance, action balanced by reflection. This is the lost art of union. Healing the masculine today. To restore harmony, men and the masculine within all people must return to their role as protectors of life, not consumers of it. Practical restoration begins with sacred awareness. Tend the fire, not just physically, but spiritually. Meditate or pray before your workday as if lighting a ceremonial flame with purpose and humility. Honor your word. Truth is masculine integrity. Words shape worlds. Protect the feminine in others, in nature, and in yourself. Defend softness not as weakness, but as wisdom. Relearn rhythm. Action must be followed by rest, work by stillness, sunlight by night. This is the return of balance, not the fall of men, but their healing. Sacred union, the sun marries the moon. When the sun and moon meet in eclipse, indigenous peoples often saw it not as battle, but as marriage, a temporary union of opposites. Darkness falls so that a new light can emerge. This is the archetype of integration. When the masculine and feminine unite, the individual becomes whole, mind and heart, logic and intuition, direction and flow. In Cherokee cosmology, harmony was expressed through the word tawadi. Balance between wings, one wing masculine, one wing feminine. Only together can the eagle soar. This is the spiritual goal for every person, not to reject gender, but to understand polarity. To live as both protector and nurturer, sun and moon, fire and water, wisdom and feeling. Closing reflection, the return of the sky. The sun rises each morning not to rule the world, but to remind it there is always light after shadow. Fire burns, but it also transforms. Masculine energy is not meant to dominate, but to illuminate. And as the moon rises again at night, her reflection reminds him without her, he would burn endlessly. Without him, she would remain unseen. Together they form the eternal heartbeat of the world, the pulse of creation that indigenous peoples never forgot, and that humanity is just beginning to remember. The earth is our mother, the sky is our father. Between them we walk, children of balance and keepers of light. Okay, so I might end with the ceremony of union. Actually, I'm going to do this in a different video. I think I'm going to make it its own video. So anyways, I truly hope you enjoyed this more Native American type of understanding of the masculine and feminine. I am certainly tying in many different things together, and that is life. That is life itself. So like and subscribe. Feel free to comment. I will be monitoring the comments. I respectfully ask you not to be hateful or rude. Do not project your own insecurities on me. This is my container. This is my YouTube channel. This is my bat cave, girl cave. This is my safe haven, and I would not treat you that way. So I certainly ask you not to treat me that way, and work on yourself. So anyways, I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care. And also, before I go, I literally have launched my Underwater Panther brand, and so you can find that in the description below. I'm not really sure how many went active. I think 10 or 12 items. I have zip ups, I have hoodies, I have t-shirts, stickers, computer cases, and then there's quite a few things for some reason that they're not active yet. I'm trying to figure that out on the back end, but I also have like 30 more things to put on there. So there's 4 collections. I have 1 collection up now and working on the rest. So do check that out. I greatly appreciate all of your support. However you want to do that, I, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you so much. Certainly want to build a community here. I'm certainly going through my own personal journey, healing my own feminine wound, and this helps me as much as I hopefully can help somebody else. So, yeah, take care, guys.